Have you ever felt stuck? No matter how much you try, you work hard, plan everything, but somehow life doesn't go the way you want. What if you could change that today? What if you could make life actually work in your favor every single day? This video will show you how to take control of your thoughts, your energy, and your actions so that progress becomes natural instead of forced. You'll discover how to stop procrastinating, how to use small wins to build unstoppable momentum, and how to grow your confidence every day. You'll learn how to focus on the things that matter, protect your energy, and act before excuses or fear take over. By the end, you'll have practical tools that you can use immediately to make your life feel easier, more focused, and more rewarding. If you want life to start moving in your favor, this video is your guide. Chapter 1. Notice your thoughts and guide them toward what helps. Your mind is the most powerful tool you will ever own. Every decision, every action, every result in your life starts there. And yet, most people treat their thoughts like a crowded street with no traffic rules. They let random ideas, worries, doubts, and fears wander in and out without control. Life becomes unpredictable, heavy, and stressful. What if you could change that? What if you could notice your thoughts and guide them toward what actually helps you? That is the difference between a life that drifts and a life that flows in your favor. The first step is awareness. Awareness is the cornerstone of personal growth. It's impossible to change what you don't see. Right now, most people are living in autopilot mode. You wake up, you go through the motions, and your thoughts are running the show without your permission. They replay old fears, doubts, and mistakes. They tell you you're not good enough, you don't have what it takes, or success is for someone else. Those thoughts feel automatic, but they are not facts. They are patterns you've allowed to form over time. Every thought you notice gives you an opportunity. Every thought you catch gives you a choice. That choice is the key to making life work for you rather than against you. Pay attention to your inner dialogue. It is shaping your reality more than your actions in many cases. You've probably noticed that some people seem to attract opportunities, seem to glide through life, while others struggle constantly. What separates them is not luck, it's attention. The people who flow with life have learned to notice their thoughts and guide them toward what helps. They don't ignore reality. They don't pretend problems don't exist. But they are careful about where they put their mental energy. They choose thoughts that lead to solutions, not distractions. They choose thoughts that build confidence, not doubt. They choose thoughts that create opportunity, not fear. That choice is simple but not easy. It requires practice and honesty with yourself. Start by listening to yourself. For one full day, pay attention to every thought that crosses your mind. Notice the tone, the focus, the direction. Are your thoughts empowering you or are they holding you back? Are they realistic and constructive or are they speculative and negative? Most people are shocked when they do this. The amount of criticism, worry, and unnecessary stress that passes through their minds every day is staggering. You begin to see the patterns you were blind to. You begin to see how much of your life has been influenced by thoughts that do not serve you. And the moment you notice, a choice appears. Once you notice, you can intervene. Thoughts are like seeds. Some seeds grow into strong, useful trees. Others grow into weeds that strangle your energy and motivation. You cannot control every thought that appears, but you can control how long you nurture it. You can guide your mind to focus on thoughts that help you solve problems, take action, and improve. You can discard the ones that waste energy or create fear. This is the work that separates those who complain about life from those who shape it. When you actively choose what to think about, you are taking responsibility for your mental environment. And once your mind is under your guidance, your life starts to follow. This is not a one-time event. Guiding your thoughts is a habit. just like brushing your teeth or exercising. Every day you need to check in with your mind. Ask yourself, am I thinking in a way that helps me move forward, or am I stuck in the past or in fear? This question is simple, but its impact is enormous. People spend years reacting to negative thoughts without realizing they could redirect them in minutes. By practicing awareness daily, you gradually rewire your brain. You replace self-doubt with confidence. You replace fear with calculated action. You replace hesitation with momentum. Your life will reflect the care and attention you give your own thinking. Emotions are closely tied to thought. Notice how a single negative thought can change your entire mood. A worry about the future can make your stomach tighten, your chest feel heavy, and your energy plummet. A thought of success, preparation, and capability can lift your mood, clear your mind, and energize your body. That is the power of guiding your thoughts. It is not abstract. It is not philosophy. It is physics applied to the mind. The mind influences the body. The body influences the behavior, and behavior creates results. When you guide your thoughts, you guide your action. When you guide your actions, you guide your life. Start small. Don't try to control every thought at once. Choose one area where your thinking has been hurting you. Maybe it's self-doubt about your career. Maybe it's worry about money. Maybe it's frustration with relationship. Focus on noticing the first negative thought in that area every day. The moment it appears, acknowledge it. Do not judge yourself. Just recognize it. Then ask yourself, does this thought help me solve this problem or move forward? If the answer is no, replace it with a thought that does. It can be simple. I am capable of handling this. I can take one step today to improve this. I will focus on what I can control. The replacement thought does not need to be elaborate. It needs to be constructive. It needs to guide action, and the consistent practice of this builds a mind that naturally leans toward helpful thinking. Journaling can be a powerful tool in this process. Writing your thoughts down forces you to slow down and notice patterns. When you see your thoughts on paper, they lose some of their power to cloud your mind unconsciously. You can identify which thoughts are repetitive, which ones create anxiety, and which ones are productive. You can then make conscious choices about what to keep and what to change. Writing also activates a different part of your brain, giving clarity and perspective that simply thinking cannot provide. It is like stepping back from the storm and seeing where the path forward truly lies. Take responsibility for your mental environment. Most people blame circumstances, other people, or bad luck for their struggles. That is tempting because it feels easier. But notice this: external circumstances only have the power you give them. The mind is the control center. If you are constantly feeding it thoughts of blame, fear, or resentment, you will feel powerless. If you feed it thoughts of solutions, capability, and courage, you will feel powerful. Guiding your thoughts is not about ignoring reality. It is about choosing which reality you want to focus on. The one that allows you to act, improve, and grow. That is how life begins to flow in your favor. This process also strengthens resilience. Life is full of setbacks. People, events, and mistakes will test you. But if your thoughts are guided toward what helps, setbacks become opportunities to learn and grow, rather than reasons to quit. You begin to notice, this is uncomfortable, but I can handle it. This is inconvenient, but I can work through it. This is failure, but I can learn from it. That mindset does not happen by accident. It happens by noticing your thoughts and guiding them intentionally. Every time you do it, you build mental muscle. Every time you practice, your mind becomes a magnet for solutions, rather than problems. Notice the feelings that come with your thoughts. Often people ignore emotions, or let them run wild. But emotions are signals. They tell you which thoughts are helping, and which are hurting. Anger, frustration, worry, or fear are signs a thought needs adjustment. Calm, confidence, curiosity, and energy are signs a thought is helping. By noticing this connection, you can adjust your thinking in real time. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are a navigator of your mind, and the more precise you become at guiding your thoughts, the more life begins to flow naturally in your favor. The power of guiding your thoughts extends to relationships, work, health, and finances. Notice how your thinking shapes your interactions. A negative thought about a colleague or family member will influence your tone, patience, and openness. A positive thought will allow you to listen, respond, and act with clarity and confidence. Notice how your thinking shapes your work. Thoughts of doubt slow action. Thoughts of focus increase productivity. Notice how your thinking shapes your health. Thoughts of self-neglect lead to poor choices. Thoughts of care and discipline lead to energy and vitality. This is the ripple effect of noticing and guiding your thoughts. Finally, consistency is everything. Noticing your thoughts once or twice will not create lasting change. It must become a habit. It must become second nature to pause, observe, and guide. You are training your mind just like you would train your body. The results will not be immediate, but they will be real. Gradually you will feel more control, more clarity, and more purpose. Life will feel lighter because your thoughts are working for you rather than against you. Life will flow because your mind has become your ally rather than your obstacle. Notice your thoughts and guide them toward what helps. That is the first principle of living a life that works in your favor. It is simple, but powerful. It is practical, but profound. Every choice you make in guiding your thoughts is a choice to step into power, confidence, and growth. It is a choice to take responsibility and create results. Every day you practice, life will reward you with more clarity, more opportunities, and more ease. This is not luck. This is mastery. Master your mind and life begins to flow in your favor. Chapter 2. Control your choices instead of letting life control you. Every day, life presents choices. Some are obvious, some subtle. Yet, most people move through their days as if life itself is making those decisions for them. They react to circumstances, respond to other people's demands, and drift along currents that have nothing to do with their own goals or desires. The truth is this: life will always test you. Events will happen. Challenges will appear. People will act unpredictably, but the power to respond is yours. The power to control your choices is yours. It is the single factor that determines whether your life flows in your favor or against you. Most people do not realize how much of their life is spent surrendering control. They wait for permission, approval, or luck. They argue about situations that have already happened, or complain about circumstances they cannot change. In that state, life is not something they navigate. Life is something that happens to them. That is exhausting, frustrating, and unproductive. Control is not about commanding the outside world. It is about taking responsibility for the inside world, your thoughts, your actions, and ultimately your choices. The moment you accept that, you reclaim your power. It begins with awareness. You must notice where your choices are being hijacked. Look at your day and see where you are reacting instead of acting. When someone interrupts your schedule, do you snap or adapt? When finances tighten, do you panic or plan? When a hate happens at work, do you blame others or solve the problem? Each reaction is a fork in the road. Most people follow the easy emotional path, letting their feelings dictate their actions. That path leads to more confusion, stress, and missed opportunities. But the path of conscious choice leads to freedom, clarity, and results. Choosing consciously is an act of courage because it requires honesty with yourself and the discipline to follow through. Start by observing small decisions. Notice when you have the power to respond differently. A traffic jam, an argument, a delayed project, an unexpected expense. These are not just annoyances. They are daily exercises in choice. You can curse, get angry, or complain, or you can breathe, assess, and choose a response that moves you forward. Control is not about eliminating difficulty. It is about maintaining your direction. Despite difficulty, every choice you make, no matter how small, compounds over time. One frustrated reaction today may lead to regret tomorrow. One calm, deliberate choice may create a foundation for success. Awareness allows you to make those distinctions. Next, understand the cost of inaction. Every time you fail to make a conscious choice, life fills the gap for you. Life will decide for you in subtle ways that often do not align with your goals. If you do not decide how to spend your time, distractions will. If you do not decide how to spend your energy, anxiety or exhaustion will. If you do not decide what to focus on, noise and urgency will steal your attention. Life will move, with or without your participation. The real question is whether you are leading it or following it. Every choice deferred is an opportunity lost. Every decision made consciously is a step toward life flowing in your favor. Make choices with clarity. Clarity comes from understanding what matters most to you. Too many people act without clarity, allowing other people, trends, or circumstances to dictate their path. When you are clear about your priorities, your choices become easier. You know what deserves your time, energy, and attention. You know what aligns with your values and goals. Clarity does not require perfection. It requires focus. The more often you practice clear decision-making, the more natural it becomes. You will notice a shift. Small daily choices start producing results that accumulate into meaningful progress. Discipline is your ally. Awareness and clarity mean little without follow-through. It is easy to recognize where you need to act differently, but following through is where the real power is exercised. Discipline is not punishment. It is the bridge between intention and result. When you choose to act on what matters, even when it is uncomfortable, inconvenient, or difficult, you are asserting control. Discipline transforms thought into action, and action transforms action into life. The more you exercise discipline in your daily choices, the stronger your control becomes, and the more life begins to respond positively to your actions. Emotions will always test your choices. Anger, fear, frustration, and doubt are natural. They are signals, not dictators. Most people surrender to emotion because it feels immediate and real. But emotion without conscious choice often leads to regret. You must learn to pause, acknowledge the feeling, and then make a choice based on reason and principle rather than impulse. This does not mean ignoring how you feel. It means not letting how you feel dictate the course of your life. Controlling your choices is not denying emotions. It is using them as information to guide your decisions wisely. Another key factor is responsibility. Taking control of your choices requires owning every decision you make, even the mistakes. Most people try to blame others, luck, or circumstance when outcomes are not favorable. This is a natural temptation, but it undermines power. When you claim full responsibility for your choices, you take ownership of your life. You stop being a victim of circumstance and start being a creator of results. Responsibility is not a burden, it is freedom. The freedom to shape your future begins with the freedom to choose today, consciously and intentionally. Focus on the long-term impact of your choices. Immediate gratification often tempts people to make decisions that feel good now but hurt later. Impulse decisions, avoidance, procrastination, or reactionary behavior may seem harmless, but they accumulate. A single uncontrolled choice may not ruin your life, but repeated uncontrolled choices will. By contrast, even small, consistent choices guided by purpose, build momentum. They create opportunities, strengthen character, and reinforce confidence. Life begins to respond favorably when your choices consistently align with long-term benefits rather than temporary satisfaction. Take action deliberately. Choices are meaningless without action. Thinking carefully, evaluating options, and planning are important, but they are only effective if followed by concrete action. Control is exercised in what you do, not just in what you think. You cannot control everything, but you can control what you do next. Even in uncertainty, even when fear is present, decisive action builds power and confidence. When life sees consistent, purposeful action, it starts to open doors. Life responds to those who act with control rather than drift with chance. Anticipate challenges and plan for them. Life is unpredictable, but preparation allows you to maintain control by considering potential obstacles and having strategies ready. You reduce the chance of being hijacked by circumstance. Planning does not eliminate surprise, but it reduces chaos. When the unexpected arises, you are not powerless. You have a plan, a mindset, and the ability to choose your response deliberately. Anticipation and preparation are forms of control that prevent life from running you over and allow you to guide it in the direction you want. Learn from consequences. Every choice produces results, whether immediate or delayed. Reflecting on outcomes helps you fine-tune your decision-making. Most people ignore lessons because it requires honesty and humility, but those who control their choices pay attention. They notice patterns, evaluate effectiveness, and adjust behavior. This ongoing process is how control compounds over time. Every decision is an opportunity to learn, grow, and strengthen mastery over your life. Life favors those who are conscious, reflective, and willing to adjust based on reality, rather than repeating old habits blindly. Take responsibility for your environment. Your surroundings influence your choices. Most people underestimate how much the people, media, and habits around them dictate their actions. By consciously choosing who and what you allow into your daily life, you reinforce the ability to make decisions that serve your goal. This means choosing mentors, friends, and routines that support growth and clarity. Control is easier when external noise is minimized and the environment aligns with the decisions you want to make. Life begins to flow when your environment supports the choices that matter most. Finally, understand that control is a skill, not a one-time event. You will not master it overnight. There will be moments when life surprises you and your instincts react automatically. That is natural. The difference is practice. Each time you pause, notice, and choose deliberately, you build skill. Each small decision where you assert control strengthens your ability to act in alignment with your goals. Eventually, controlling your choices becomes second nature. Life no longer sweeps you along. You move intentionally, confidently, and effectively. Life begins to work for you because your choices consistently shape the direction you want to go. Control is not about being rigid. It is about being deliberate. It is about recognizing the space between stimulus and response, and using that space to act with wisdom. Life will always throw challenges, distractions, and temptations in your way. Most people allow these forces to pull them along. You do not have to. Every time you notice the moment of choice, you reclaim power. Every time you act intentionally, you strengthen the flow of life in your favor. This is not theory. This is practice, and practice leads to mastery. The difference between people who live passively and those who live intentionally is clear. Passive people let circumstance dictate mood, energy, and action. Intentional people observe, evaluate, and choose. They understand that every day, every interaction, and every decision is an opportunity to assert control. Life begins to flow when choices are guided consciously. Results, opportunities, and peace of mind follow naturally.
When you take charge of your decisions, instead of letting life dictate them. Control your choices, instead of letting life control you. That is a principle that separates those who drift from those who achieve. It is not complicated, but it requires consistent awareness, discipline, and responsibility. Every moment presents a choice. Every choice shapes your tomorrow. Life will always test you, but mastery begins when you reclaim your decisions. You will feel lighter, stronger, and more confident. You will notice that problems become manageable, opportunities become visible, and success begins to accumulate. The practice of controlled choice is the foundation for living a life that flows in your favor.
Chapter 3. Observe patterns in your behavior and change what blocks. Every person has habits and routines that shape their life. Some of these patterns lift them up, others hold them back. Most people are unaware of the behaviors that are keeping them stuck. They act on autopilot, repeating the same choices, the same reactions, the same mistakes, and then wonder why results never change. Life does not change by wishing. Life changes when you become aware of your patterns and actively decide which ones serve you and which ones block you. Noticing is the first step. Change is the action that follows. Together, they create momentum and open doors that seemed impossible before. The most important observation you can make is how your mind and body react to situations. You may notice that when stress rises, you avoid important tasks, criticize yourself, or procrastinate. When opportunities appear, you might hesitate, overthink, or talk yourself out of action. These reactions are patterns. They repeat because your mind finds comfort in the familiar, even if it is unproductive. Recognizing them is not shameful. It is empowering. Every pattern you uncover is a chance to take control. Every behavior you observe is a doorway to improvement. Start by tracking your actions. Keep a simple log for 1 week. Write down moments when you feel stuck, frustrated, or unproductive. Note what triggered these feelings, how you reacted, and the outcome. You will be surprised how often similar situations repeat themselves. Patterns are easier to spot when you see them written down. This step creates awareness. Awareness alone is not change, but it is the foundation. Once you recognize the pattern, you can decide whether it serves your goals or blocks them. Most people resist observing patterns because it can be uncomfortable. You may see behaviors you dislike, decisions you regret, or habits that waste time. That discomfort is necessary. It is a signal that something requires attention. Ignoring it guarantees repetition. Facing it allows growth. Change does not require judgment or punishment. It requires curiosity and honesty. Ask yourself, why do I act this way? What am I afraid of? What benefit does this behavior give me? And what does it take away? Questions like these uncover the root of patterns, giving insight that is crucial for transformation. Patterns are not limited to failure. They exist in success too. Examine moments when you feel energized, confident, and productive. Notice what behaviors, thoughts, and routines preceded those states. Often, success leaves a trail of repeated actions. The goal is not only to eliminate blocking patterns, but also to strengthen patterns that work. Life becomes easier when you replicate behaviors that naturally lead to progress and satisfaction. Observing patterns in both positive and negative experiences is the roadmap to control and improvement. Changing what blocks you requires intentional intervention. Once you identify a pattern that holds you back, decide on a specific action to replace it. For example, if procrastination is recurring, do not just say, "I will stop procrastinating." That is vague and ineffective. Instead, implement a rule. When you feel the urge to delay, you act on the smallest step immediately. If self-criticism appears, replace it with constructive self-talk or a focused plan. These interventions are small but consistent adjustments that gradually dismantle unproductive patterns. Repetition turns choice into habit, and habit shapes your life. Behavioral patterns are often reinforced by triggers. Recognizing triggers is crucial. A trigger can be a place, a person, a time of day, or an emotion. If you want to change behavior, you must notice what sparks it. Once you identify a trigger, you can design a response that serves you. If stress triggers avoidance, you create a small stress relief routine, followed by action. If fatigue triggers mindless scrolling, you replace it with a short, energizing activity. Change occurs when you interrupt automatic reactions with conscious responses. Awareness of triggers transforms reactive behavior into deliberate action. Patterns also exist in thought processing. Many people have recurring beliefs that limit them, such as, "I'm not ready," or "I always fail," or "I don't have enough time." These thoughts repeat because the mind seeks consistency, even at the cost of growth. Observing these thought patterns is as important as observing action. When you notice limiting beliefs, challenge them, replace them with a more constructive perspective. For example, "I am learning and improving every day," or "I can take one step now to move forward." The mind follows the path of least resistance. By redirecting it toward helpful beliefs, you align thinking with action. Patterns are reinforced by emotion. Negative emotions often perpetuate behaviors that block progress. Fear, doubt, anger, or frustration can anchor a person in repeated mistakes. By observing the emotional response, you gain insight into the behavior. Ask yourself, what feeling drives your reaction? Then consider what action would honor your goal rather than feed the emotion. Changing a behavior without addressing the emotional driver is temporary. True change occurs when both mind and emotion are guided toward productive responses. It is crucial to practice patience with yourself. Patterns do not disappear overnight. Some have been reinforced for years. Expect resistance. Expect setbacks. They are not failures. They are part of the process. Each time you notice a behavior and choose differently, you weaken the old pattern. Each consistent adjustment builds a stronger pattern of success. Progress is measured in repeated steps, not sudden perfection. The longer you commit to observing and adjusting, the more automatic constructive behavior becomes. Life begins to flow when productive patterns outweigh blocking ones consistently. Accountability enhances change. Share your observations and intentions with someone you trust. A mentor, friend, or coach can provide perspective and encouragement. Sometimes patterns are invisible to ourselves because they are so familiar. An external observer can help identify habits you overlook and suggest practical alternatives. Accountability is a form of reinforcement that keeps awareness and intervention consistent. When someone else knows what you are working on, you are more likely to follow through, and your patterns shift faster. Behavioral change also depends on environment. People often underestimate the influence of surroundings on recurring patterns. Certain places, routines, or social settings reinforce habits that block progress. Adjusting your environment makes it easier to break unhelpful patterns. Remove distractions that fuel procrastination. Seek spaces that inspire focus, or spend time with people who model constructive behavior. Your environment is a reflection of your choices, and it directly impacts the patterns you repeat daily. Change your surroundings and you change the frequency and quality of your behaviors. Reflection is a powerful tool. At the end of each day, review moments when old patterns appeared. Ask yourself what you noticed, what you did differently, and what you will try tomorrow. This simple practice reinforces awareness and encourages continual improvement. The mind and body need repetition to adopt new patterns. Daily reflection ensures you remain conscious of choices, avoid falling into autopilot, and strengthen productive behaviors consistent. Progress requires flexibility.
Some strategies may not work immediately. Some behaviors take longer to adjust than others. Observe, adapt, and experiment. If a method does not break a blocking pattern, try another. The key is persistence and willingness to refine approaches. People who succeed in transforming their behaviors are those who keep trying, keep noticing, and keep adjusting. Rigidity limits growth. Openness to change accelerates it. The practice of observing and adjusting becomes second nature over time. Celebrate small victory. Every time a behavior is noticed and redirected, acknowledge it. Every time a block is replaced with productive action, recognize the improvement. These moments build confidence and motivation. Most people overlook small wins, waiting for big results. Big results are the accumulation of many small victories. By celebrating progress in real time, you reinforce positive patterns and strengthen your ability to continue improving. Understanding cause and effect is critical. Patterns do not exist in isolation. A blocked behavior often leads to other consequences, such as stress, missed opportunities, or poor relationships. Observing the ripple effect clarifies why change matters. When you see how a single pattern affects multiple areas of life, motivation to act increases. Changing one behavior often improves multiple aspects of your day, reinforcing the value of observation and adjustment. Finally, approach the process with self-respect. Observing and changing behavior is an act of care, not criticism. Be firm, but be kind. Recognize that growth requires effort, and that every adjustment is a step toward a life that works for you. The mind, body, and environment are aligned when you commit to noticing patterns and changing what blocks your progress. Over time, these small, intentional actions accumulate into significant transformation. Life flows naturally when you understand yourself, act intentionally, and remove obstacles in your own behavior. Observe patterns in your behavior and change what blocks. That principle is not theoretical, it is practical. It is grounded in psychology and human experience. Every person has the capacity to identify unhelpful patterns and replace them with productive ones. Every choice you make toward awareness strengthens your control over life. Every action you take toward improvement creates momentum that compounds into success, confidence, and satisfaction. Life responds to observation and action. The sooner you begin, the sooner patterns serve you rather than hold you back.
Chapter 4. Challenge fear immediately before it slows you down. Fear is one of the most powerful forces in human life. It affects decisions, relationships, opportunities, and personal growth. Most people think fear is something to avoid or wait out, but avoidance gives it strength. Every moment you hesitate because of fear is a moment life is passing you by. The difference between people who move forward and people who stay stuck is simple. The ones who succeed challenge fear immediately instead of letting it control their actions. Fear is not the enemy. In fact, fear is a signal. It shows where growth is waiting, where courage is required, and where opportunity is disguised. The key is not eliminating fear, but confronting it quickly before it gains momentum. Most people misunderstand fear. They believe it is always dangerous or a reason to retreat. In reality, fear is often a reaction to uncertainty. It is a warning, not a barrier. It tells you that something important is at stake, something that matters to you. If fear shows up, that is proof you are on the edge of growth. The problem arises when fear dominates thought, paralyzes action, or convinces you to delay. Avoidance trains the mind to associate fear with failure. Repetition strengthens the block, making every similar situation harder in the future. Immediate challenge is the antidote. The quicker you act despite fear, the faster the fear loses its power. The first step is recognition. Pay attention to how fear manifests in your body and mind. Notice physical signals: tension in the chest, a tightening stomach, a racing heartbeat, shallow breathing. Observe mental signals: doubt, indecision, imagining worst-case scenarios, or procrastination. Recognizing fear as soon as it arises gives you the opportunity to respond intentionally rather than react instinctively. Awareness is essential. Many people act only after fear has consumed them for hours or days. By noticing it early, you prevent it from growing into a barrier that seems insurmountable. Next, understand the story behind the fear. Fear usually arises from assumptions, past experiences, or imagined consequences. It is often a product of the mind creating what might happen, rather than what is happening. Ask yourself, what exactly am I afraid of? Is it failure, judgment, loss, or rejection? Once you identify the source, you can separate reality from imagination. Most fears are exaggerated or hypothetical. The moment you observe the real source, fear becomes manageable. Awareness reduces the intensity, making action possible. Immediate action is critical. The longer you wait, the more fear builds, and hesitation becomes a habit. Acting quickly does not mean rushing recklessly. It means taking the first step toward confronting what intimidates you, even if it is small. It could be speaking up, making a phone call, starting a project, or addressing a difficult conversation. Action creates momentum. It signals to your mind that fear does not dictate the situation. Each small step weakens fear and strengthens courage. People who consistently challenge fear discover that the experience becomes less threatening over time. Courage is cultivated, not granted. Visualization is a tool that supports action. Picture yourself facing the fear successfully. Imagine taking the steps required and feeling the relief, confidence, and progress that follows. Visualization prepares the mind and body for real action. It does not replace action, but reduces hesitation by clarifying the process and outcome. Fear diminishes when you see a clear path forward. People often avoid action because the unknown feels overwhelming. Visualization transforms the unknown into a map, allowing you to move with awareness and purpose. Self-talk is another powerful method. Fear thrives on negative and uncertain thinking. Replace thoughts like "I cannot handle this" with statements such as "I can take the next step" or "I will learn from this experience." Words shape reality because they influence emotion and behavior. When fear rises, acknowledge it, but speak with confidence and clarity to counter it. The mind responds to language. The faster you replace paralyzing thoughts with empowering statements, the faster fear loses its grip. Consistent use of positive self-talk rewires how the brain responds to challenging situations. Preparation reduces fear. Most fears arise from uncertainty or feeling unready. By preparing, planning, and practicing, you take control of what is possible. Preparation does not eliminate fear entirely, but it shifts it into a manageable form. Knowing you have done what you can reduces the energy fear consumes. People who feel capable in a situation rarely allow fear to dominate their choices. Preparation is not procrastination. It is intentional readiness that transforms apprehension into confidence. Every moment spent avoiding fear is a moment opportunity slips by. Fear slows progress, limits experience, and stifles growth. People justify hesitation with rationalizations, but rationalizations are illusions. The real cost is lost time, unrealized potential, and diminished self-trust. Challenging fear immediately creates a chain reaction. Action builds confidence, confidence strengthens future action, and progress begins to accelerate. Life responds to momentum, and fear diminishes when confronted before it solidifies into avoidance. Start with small fears to build courage. Not every fear requires a dramatic leap. Begin by addressing minor challenges and observing the results. Small actions compound. Each time you face fear, you rewire your mind and body to respond with capability instead of avoid.
These small victories accumulate into larger confidence that prepares you for more significant challenges. People underestimate the power of incremental steps. Courage grows like a muscle. It strengthens with repeated effort. Fear is often amplified by overthinking. People replay scenarios endlessly in their minds, imagining negative outcomes, exaggerating risks, and inventing barriers. Observing this mental process is the first step in stopping it. Interrupt overthinking by taking immediate action, even if small. Decide on the next practical step, execute it, and assess results. Action replaces mental speculation with reality. Once you experience results, fear diminishes naturally because it no longer exists as a hypothetical threat. Life flows more smoothly when action is prioritized over rumination. Accountability strengthens courage. Share your intention to face fear with someone who supports you. When someone else knows your commitment, hesitation is harder to justify. External support also provides perspective, encouragement, and reinforcement. Many people fail to challenge fear because they isolate themselves. Courage is cultivated more effectively in community, whether through mentors, peers, or partners who reinforce constructive action. Accountability transforms intention into execution. Reflect on fear after confronting it. Each time you challenge fear, review what happened. Notice what you learned about yourself, your capabilities, and the situation. Reflection strengthens insight and reduces the likelihood that fear will dominate next time. People who face fear consistently find that their perception of difficulty diminishes. What once seemed intimidating becomes manageable. Fear is not eliminated, but it is tamed through repeated confrontation and reflection. Embrace discomfort. Fear is often associated with discomfort, and discomfort signals growth. Avoidance reinforces the idea that discomfort is to be avoided, making future challenges harder. By stepping into discomfort deliberately, you strengthen resilience and adaptability. Life is not about avoiding pressure, but learning to act effectively under it. Confronting fear immediately teaches the mind and body that tension is temporary and manageable, opening the door to consistent progress. Consider the benefits of facing fear. Each action builds confidence, competence, and clarity. Opportunities emerge that were previously invisible because fear created mental barriers. People who challenge fear find that success is often waiting immediately beyond the threshold of discomfort. The energy once consumed by avoidance is redirected into results. Every decision to act reinforces self-trust, builds momentum, and enhances emotional stability. The reward of facing fear is not only progress, but the transformation of the inner experience of fear itself. Consistency matters. One instance of courage is important, but consistent practice solidifies strength. Fear diminishes through repeated, deliberate confrontation. Each moment you challenge fear becomes a reference point for future situations. Over time, courage becomes habitual. People notice the difference in how challenges feel, how opportunities appear, and how obstacles are approached. Life begins to flow because fear no longer dictates the speed, quality, or direction of action. Understand that courage is a skill, not a trait. It is not something you either have or do not. Every person can cultivate courage by practicing immediate challenge of fear. Skill develops through repetition, reflection, and incremental growth. Each time you choose action over avoidance, you improve your capacity to act decisively in the next moment. Life favors those who treat courage as practice rather than a natural gift. Finally, recognize that fear is temporary, but the consequences of inaction can be lasting. Avoidance may feel safe in the moment, but it accumulates into missed opportunities, regret, and diminished confidence. Confronting fear immediately produces lasting benefits: a stronger sense of control, improved decision-making, and the ability to move forward in situations that once seemed overwhelming. People who challenge fear quickly experience freedom, clarity, and momentum. They learn that life responds to courage and hesitates in the presence of hesitation. Challenge fear immediately before it slows you down. That principle is simple but transformative. Every moment fear arises is an invitation to act. Every immediate response weakens fear and strengthens self-trust. Life flows in favor of those who confront obstacles with clarity, courage, and consistency. Fear is inevitable, but hesitation is optional. By embracing challenge, acting decisively, and reflecting on results, you develop resilience, opportunity, and momentum. Immediate challenge converts fear from a barrier into a catalyst for growth and achievement.
Chapter 5. Shape your environment to naturally support your goals. Your environment shapes you more than you realize. Every person is influenced by the people around them, the spaces they occupy, and the routines they follow. Most individuals underestimate this power. They complain about results, circumstances, or other people without recognizing that their surroundings are silently guiding their behavior. If you want life to flow in your favor, you must shape your environment intentionally. This is not about controlling every detail or isolating yourself. It is about designing conditions that make success natural and obstacles less influential. When your environment supports your goals, decisions, actions, and even your mindset align with progress automatically. The first step is awareness. Take a careful look at your daily surroundings. Observe the people you spend the most time with. Are they inspiring you, challenging you, and lifting your energy, or do they drain your motivation, breed doubt, and normalize mediocrity? Notice your physical spaces, your home, your workspace, and even your digital environments. Are they organized, focused, and conducive to productivity, or cluttered, distracting, and chaotic? Awareness reveals the subtle patterns that influence behavior without conscious effort. Change cannot happen until you clearly see what is affecting you daily. People are strongly influenced by association. Your habits often reflect those around you. If your close circle prioritizes excuses, entertainment over effort, or negativity, those behaviors and beliefs naturally creep into your life. On the other hand, spending time with disciplined, motivated, and goal-oriented individuals strengthens your own resolve. Your environment determines the standards you adopt and the expectations you hold for yourself. Aligning with people who model the behavior you aspire to makes growth effortless. You do not need constant willpower when your environment reinforces the mindset and actions required for success. Physical organization also matters. Cluttered spaces create mental clutter. A messy desk, scattered items, or disorganized digital files may seem minor, but they drain energy and reduce focus. Clear spaces allow the mind to think clearly, make decisions efficiently, and act decisively. By arranging your environment with intention, you remove distractions and unnecessary friction. Life flows more smoothly when your surroundings make it easier to act rather than harder. The layout, order, and accessibility of your spaces are silent influences that can either support or sabotage your goals. Consider routines. Your environment is not only the physical space, but also the structure of your day. When your schedule is predictable, deliberate, and aligned with your priorities, action becomes automatic. Most people drift because they do not control their time or sequence of activity. When routines are shaped to support goals, time blocks for focused work, scheduled reflection, deliberate exercise, and consistent learning behavior aligns naturally. You reduce the need for constant motivation because the environment cues the behavior you want. Habit formation becomes simple when the environment is consistent with desired outcomes. Digital influence is increasingly powerful. Social media, news, apps, and notifications shape thoughts and behaviors. Most people underestimate and much attention is siphoned off by trivial distraction. When the digital environment constantly competes for focus, goals suffer. Actively managing the digital space, curating feeds, unsubscribing from negativity, limiting time-wasting apps, creates mental clarity and aligns attention with priority. The virtual environment is as influential as physical space. Shaping it ensures energy is directed toward growth instead of scattered aimlessly. Symbols and reminders in the environment serve as reinforced visual cues like notes, charts, vision boards, or quotes are more than decoration, they are triggers for action. When strategically placed, they remind you of your goals, priorities, and standards. Small nudges create continuous awareness without requiring effortful thought. Your environment becomes a silent coach, reinforcing desired behaviors at every turn. People who excel often design spaces that consistently encourage excellence. The mind responds automatically to repeated cues, making alignment with goals effortless over time. Noise and distraction are powerful blockers. Environments that include frequent interruptions, excessive chatter, or competing stimuli reduce focus, decision-making quality, and energy. Protecting your space, creating quiet zones, limiting interruptions, and managing who and what enters your attention enhances productivity and mental clarity. People who achieve high performance often isolate themselves from unnecessary noise, allowing energy to be reserved for meaningful action. A carefully managed environment prevents external chaos from derailing internal focus. Life becomes smoother because fewer obstacles are imposed by surroundings. Consider the energy of people around you. Emotional states are contagious. If you are surrounded by negativity, constant complaining, or low ambition, your own motivation suffers. Conversely, energetic, optimistic, and goal-driven individuals elevate your standards, reinforce positive behavior, and provide accountability. Seek mentors, peers, or collaborators who challenge you to improve and expand your perspective. The right associations provide feedback, encouragement, and modeling for the behaviors you want to internalize. Life flows when your social environment naturally inspires you rather than drains your resolve. Aligning environment with health is also critical. Physical surroundings affect habits like diet, exercise, and sleep. Access to nutritious food, spaces for movement, and restful areas for sleep reduces friction in making healthy choices. Most people fail to achieve goals because environmental conditions work against their well-being. By arranging surroundings to support energy and vitality, you reduce internal resistance and free mental capacity for growth. Health is foundational. Environments that support it enable every other goal to be pursued with greater consistency and effortlessness. Time management is intertwined with environment. Being in spaces that reinforce focused work or deliberate action improves efficiency. People waste hours because surroundings encourage distraction or indecision. Structuring the day to include specific zones for productivity, learning, rest, and connection reduces the reliance on motivation and willpower. When the environment cues the right behavior, acting in alignment with goals becomes intuitive. Deliberate control over surroundings ensures that energy is directed toward desired outcomes instead of being dissipated on trivialities. Accountability structures enhance environmental support. Workspaces, social networks, and routines can be designed to naturally incorporate feedback. Public commitments, scheduled check-ins, or collaborative projects create external pressure to act. These systems reduce procrastination and reinforce discipline. The environment becomes a partner rather than an obstacle. People consistently achieving results design surroundings that hold them accountable without requiring constant self-discipline. Every element from colleagues to physical setup is intentionally selected to guide behavior toward progress. Reflect on environmental influence regularly. Assess which elements support or hinder progress. Life evolves, and so do circumstances. An environment that supported goals last year may now require adjustment.
Periodic evaluation ensures alignment with current priority. Observing impact helps you eliminate energy drains, reinforce productive elements, and refine daily routines. Change is ongoing, and those who adjust environments consciously sustain growth and momentum. Continuous optimization keeps the flow of life aligned with evolving ambition. Invest in resources that amplify productivity. Books, courses, tools, and technology can be part of an environment that nurtures success. Surrounding yourself with knowledge, systems, and tools reduces friction in achieving objectives. Most people wait for inspiration to strike, but when the environment actively provides resources for learning and action, progress occurs naturally. The combination of intentional space, supportive people, and accessible tools creates a system that favors consistent growth. Emotional environment is just as important as physical space. Exposure to positive, motivating influences strengthens confidence and optimism. Avoiding toxic conversations, dramatized media, and negative commentary protects mental clarity. Energy is limited. Directing it toward productive engagement rather than emotional depletion creates leverage. People often underestimate emotional conditions as a factor in decision-making and performance. By curating emotional stimuli, the mind and body are positioned to act in alignment with goals, making progress feel easier and more natural. Celebrate and reinforce productive patterns in your environment. Positive reinforcement encourages repetition. A clean workspace, organized routines, and supportive social circles not only reduce obstacles, but also reward desired behavior. Every small win signals to your brain that effort produces results. The environment continuously signals standards, making consistent growth more likely. People who achieve high performance leverage these reinforcement loops, creating surroundings that naturally support desired habits. Life flows when the environment rewards action, aligned with objectives, and diminishes friction for effortful choices. Expect change to require adjustment. Life evolves, priorities shift, and what worked previously may require updates. A flexible approach ensures that environments remain aligned with current goals. People who are deliberate in shaping surroundings are proactive rather than reactive. They anticipate obstacles, refine spaces, and adjust routines before resistance builds. Momentum is maintained when attention to environmental alignment is consistent, deliberate, and thoughtful. By continuously improving surroundings, you reinforce behavior that sustains progress and supports personal growth. Shaping an environment is not about perfection. It is about strategic adjustments that amplify effort and reduce friction. Small, deliberate changes compound over time. Removing one distraction, adding one accountability mechanism, or establishing one productive routine significantly impacts outcomes. Life responds to consistent attention to surroundings. Over weeks and months, these improvements accumulate into dramatic changes in performance, mindset, and opportunity. What once felt difficult becomes routine when the environment nudges behavior toward goals naturally. Shape your environment to naturally support your goal. This is a principle rooted in human behavior, psychology, and experience. Every element, people, spaces, routines, tools, and stimuli either supports or blocks progress. By observing influence, making intentional adjustments, and continuously refining surroundings, you reduce resistance, enhance focus, and amplify action. Life flows more easily when external conditions aligned with internal ambition. Success becomes the default rather than an exception. By taking control of your environment, you create a system where choices, habits, and outcomes are naturally guided toward what matters most.
Chapter 6. Practice saying no to things that drain your energy. Energy is the currency of achievement. Every goal, every action, every thought requires energy. Yet most people spend a large portion of their energy on things that do not serve their progress. obligations that are unnecessary, people who exhaust motivation, habits that produce little value. These all drain energy silently until there is nothing left for what truly matters. The ability to say no is one of the most powerful skills a person can cultivate. Saying no is not selfish, it is strategic. It is a conscious choice to protect your focus, preserve your strength, and channel your energy toward what genuinely advances your life. Most people struggle with saying no because they fear rejection, conflict, or guilt. They worry about disappointing others or missing opportunities. This fear of saying no creates an energy leak that slowly undermines productivity, clarity, and momentum. Energy is not unlimited. Every time you commit to something that does not align with your priorities, you dilute the effort you can give to what truly matters. Saying no is not about denying others. It is about affirming your commitment to yourself and your goals. Every no is an investment in your ability to say yes to the right opportunities. Start by identifying what drains your energy. Observe your days and note which activities, conversations, or commitments leave you feeling depleted. Track your interactions and routines to discover patterns of energy loss. Some of these drains may seem minor, but compound over time. Each meeting, distraction, or obligation that pulls focus without meaningful returns slowly erodes capacity. Awareness is the first step, because you cannot protect your energy if you do not know where it is being lost. Naming energy drains gives clarity and establishes a baseline for making intentional choices. Evaluate every opportunity against your priority. Before committing, ask yourself, does this support my goals? Will this add value or momentum? If the answer is no or unclear, decline or defer. Most people operate reactively, accepting tasks or obligations without examining alignment. This reactive pattern leads to exhaustion and frustration. Intentional evaluation requires courage, honesty, and discipline. Every time you practice assessing opportunities, you strengthen your ability to protect energy consistently. Over time, this practice becomes instinctive, and focus on high-impact actions becomes effortless. Saying no requires clarity in communication. You do not need to over-explain, justify, or apologize excessively. Simple, direct statements convey boundaries clearly and respectfully. For example, I cannot take this on right now, or I need focus on my priorities, or this is not something I can commit to today. Effective communication preserves relationships while protecting energy. People often overcomplicate saying no because of fear of conflict. Honesty combined with respect reduces resistance and maintains connection. Setting boundaries is an act of maturity, not confrontation. Learn to manage guilt. Feeling guilty after saying no is natural, especially if you are accustomed to pleasing others. Recognize that guilt is a response to a shift in expectation, not an indication that you are wrong. Protecting energy is necessary for sustained contribution, performance, and growth. Guilt diminishes with practice and clarity about why boundaries exist. Each time you assert a necessary no, confidence grows, and energy is preserved for the tasks, people, and goals that truly matter. Practice saying no in low-stakes situations first. Start with minor obligations, distractions, or requests that do not threaten relationships or outcomes. This builds confidence and familiarity with boundary setting. The more often you practice, the more natural it becomes. Avoidance in these situations reinforces old patterns of overcommitment and energy depletion. By starting small, you prepare yourself for higher stakes scenarios where saying no is critical to maintaining focus and performance. Each successful no strengthens the ability to act decisively in the future. Understand the long-term benefit. Every no preserves mental clarity, emotional resilience, and physical energy. It frees space for high-priority actions, important relationships, and personal growth. People who habitually say yes to every demand often feel trapped, overwhelmed, and ineffective. Conversely, people who manage energy intentionally find that saying no creates opportunity, enhances productivity, and strengthens self-respect. The cost of saying yes to drains is high. The reward of saying no is exponential. Life flows more favorably when energy is protected and directed strategically. Recognize social pressure and cultural conditioning. Many people are conditioned to overcommit due to politeness, fear of judgment, or cultural expectations. Breaking these patterns requires intentional practice. Observing why you feel compelled to say yes is as important as the act itself. Often, energy drains come from inherited expectations rather than conscious choice. When you confront these pressures and choose deliberately, energy is reclaimed, focus increases, and autonomy strengthens. The ability to say no becomes not only a tool for productivity, but also a statement of self-respect. Develop alternative responses. Saying no does not always mean complete refusal. You can redirect, defer, or negotiate terms that protect energy while contributing meaningfully. For example, offering to help in a smaller capacity, suggesting another time, or delegating responsibility ensures boundaries are respected while maintaining collaboration. Flexibility combined with assertiveness protects energy without alienating others. People often see saying no as rigid. In practice, it is strategic and relational. Energy protection and cooperation can coexist when intentions are clear. Observe emotional triggers. Energy drains often exploit emotional vulnerability, such as fear of missing out, desire for approval, or avoidance of conflict. Recognizing these triggers helps in responding with intention rather than impulse. Pause, reflect, and choose before acting. Immediate reactions are often yes responses to external pressure. Conscious decision-making strengthens confidence, preserves energy, and maintains focus. Emotional awareness enhances the ability to say no consistently, reinforcing self-control and deliberate action. Set boundaries in all areas of life. Work, social, family, and digital spaces all contain potential drain. Establishing limits around availability, commitments, and interaction. Time ensures energy is managed comprehensively. Most people focus on one area while ignoring others. True energy protection requires holistic awareness. By shaping limits across all domains, you create an environment where focus, productivity, and resilience are reinforced naturally. Boundaries are not restrictions. They are structures that make intentional action easier and more sustainable. Reflect on result. After asserting a no, observe how energy, focus, and productivity are affected. Often, people notice immediate relief and increased capacity. Positive reinforcement strengthens the behavior, making boundary setting habitual. Reflection also identifies areas where energy is still being lost, allowing further adjustment. People who regularly evaluate the impact of their decisions about energy develop sharper insight, stronger control, and greater freedom. Each no becomes an investment in sustainable performance and well-being. Align saying no with purpose. Every decision should be connected to long-term goals, values, and priorities. Random refusals are not strategic. Intentional decisions. Aligning no with purpose strengthens conviction, reduces guilt, and increases impact. People who understand why they say no are more consistent, respected, and effective. Purpose-driven boundaries provide clarity for both internal decision-making and external communication. Life flows more naturally when energy is preserved for actions that matter most. Celebrate the freedom gained. Each no creates space for focus, learning, growth, and meaningful contribution. Over time, these small acts accumulate into significant improvement in performance, satisfaction, and life quality.
People who master saying no experience less stress, greater clarity, and increased accomplishment. The ability to preserve energy is not a limitation. It is empowerment. The freedom that emerges enables consistent, meaningful action without burnout or distraction. Expect resistance. Not everyone will appreciate boundaries immediately. Some may push, question, or test your limits. This is natural. Maintain consistency, clarity, and respect. Over time, people adjust, and your energy-protecting decisions are understood and respected. Resistance is temporary. The benefits of sustained focus, clarity, and momentum are lasting. People who consistently protect energy gain influence and credibility because they model intentional living rather than reactive compliance. Finally, integrate the practice into daily life. Energy management is ongoing. Each decision, interaction, and opportunity presents a chance to say yes or no. By making it habitual to evaluate alignment, set boundaries, and act deliberately, energy preservation becomes automatic. Over weeks and months, this practice strengthens resilience, enhances productivity, and ensures life flows naturally toward goals. Mastery of energy is mastery of choice, and mastery of choice creates the life you desire. Practice saying no to things that drain your energy. This principle is simple but transformative. Each no protects focus, strengthens discipline, and preserves mental, emotional, and physical capacity. Life responds positively when energy is directed toward meaningful priorities and away from distractions. By observing energy leaks, asserting boundaries, and aligning action with purpose, you create conditions for sustained growth, achievement, and satisfaction. The freedom, clarity, and momentum that result allow life to flow in your favor consistently and powerfully.
Chapter 7. Focus on feelings that push you toward action. Feelings are powerful. They drive every decision, influence every action, and shape every result. Most people underestimate how much their emotions guide their behavior. Many wait for motivation to appear externally, looking for inspiration in others, in situations, or in circumstances. The truth is that the most reliable source of action is internal, your own feelings. Some feelings energize and propel forward, while others paralyze and hold back. Learning to focus on the feelings that push you toward action is a game changer. It turns ordinary effort into consistent progress, turning dreams into tangible results. The first step is awareness. Pay attention to what you feel in different situations. Notice moments of excitement, curiosity, anticipation, or urgency. These emotions are signals that your mind recognizes potential, opportunity, or importance. They naturally drive action when harnessed properly. At the same time, observe moments of fear, doubt, frustration, or exhaustion. These feelings can serve as warning signals, but they can also hold you back if you give them too much attention. By distinguishing which emotions propel progress and which hinder it, you gain control over your energy and focus. Acting on the right feelings requires honesty. Many people convince themselves that they are motivated by obligation, logic, or external pressure, when in reality, it is their internal drive that produces consistent action. Ask yourself, which feelings make me feel alive and ready to take the next step? Which feelings drain my energy and slow my progress? By identifying the emotions that produce momentum, you can deliberately cultivate them, enhance them, and use them as tools to guide behavior. Emotional clarity is the foundation for intentional action. Positive feelings are not always spontaneous. Sometimes they require intentional stimulation. Set conditions that evoke energy, curiosity, and urgency. Engage with content that challenges and excites you. Spend time with people who inspire and push you forward. Create routines that produce small wins, generating confidence and momentum. Emotions like excitement, focus, and determination are cultivated, not discovered by chance. By designing experiences that produce these feelings, you set yourself up for continuous action rather than waiting for external triggers. One of the most powerful feelings is clarity about purpose. When your mind is certain about what matters, it produces energy naturally. Confusion, on the other hand, creates inertia. Many people feel busy but unproductive because their emotions are scattered on multiple fronts. Focusing on the feelings associated with clarity, direction, alignment, and understanding creates natural motivation. Purpose is a feeling as much as it is a plan. The more connected you are to meaningful objectives, the more your emotional state will push you toward productive action without relying solely on discipline. Curiosity is another emotion that propels action. People who succeed consistently are driven by a desire to learn, explore, and understand. When curiosity is present, tasks feel engaging rather than burdensome. The mind is alert, receptive, and eager to act. Cultivating curiosity requires attention and intention. Ask questions, experiment, and immerse yourself in challenges that provoke interest. Curiosity produces energy naturally. When you focus on this feeling, even difficult tasks become opportunities rather than obligations. Life flows more smoothly when curiosity drives behavior. Anticipation of progress or reward is an emotional accelerator. Visualizing the benefits of taking action produces a sense of urgency and excitement. Most people underestimate the power of anticipation. It is not wishful thinking, it is emotional preparation for movement. By imagining the results vividly, you create a feeling that pushes you to act now rather than delay. Anticipation transforms potential into immediate energy, bridging the gap between intention and execution. People who harness this feeling consistently notice a remarkable increase in productivity and consistency. Energy is often influenced by body states. Physical feelings, such as rest, alertness, and vigor, affect the emotional system. When tired, hungry, or uncomfortable, feelings that normally push you toward action are weakened. By managing the body, you strengthen the mind. Exercise, nutrition, and adequate rest amplify emotions that support action, while depletion magnifies hesitation, doubt, and procrastination. The body and mind are intertwined. Physical care is not optional, it is a mechanism for cultivating feelings that drive progress. High energy reinforces focus, determination, and momentum. Focus on feelings rather than distraction. Many people react to negative emotions or external stimuli that do not serve their goals. Anger, anxiety, or boredom often capture attention, draining energy and slowing action. The skill is to notice these emotions without giving them control and redirect focus toward feelings that push you forward. Emotional redirection requires awareness and practice. By consciously choosing to dwell on energizing, motivating emotions, you maintain momentum and ensure that action is guided by productive energy rather than reactive responses. Fear and discomfort can be converted into motivating lead. Avoidance is common when fear arises, but fear itself contains valuable information. It signals opportunity, growth, and risk worth taking. When observed objectively, fear can be transformed into determination, courage, or focus. Many people fail to progress because they react to fear with paralysis instead of channeling it into action. By reframing fear as an indicator rather than a barrier, you create a powerful emotional signal that drives you to engage rather than retreat. Gratitude is another emotion that fuels action. Appreciation for progress, opportunity, and capability strengthens resilience and motivation. It shifts attention from what is missing
or difficult to what is possible. Feeling grateful activates energy that supports persistence, creativity, and problem-solving. People who consistently harness gratitude notice increased stamina and willingness to act, even when circumstances are challenging. Gratitude transforms passive acceptance into active engagement, reinforcing feelings that naturally push toward results. Accountability enhances emotional energy. Sharing your intentions with others produces feelings of responsibility, urgency, and commitment. Social support creates positive emotional feedback loops. When others are aware of your goals, the feelings of pride, determination, and obligation intensify, pushing you toward action. Most people overlook the emotional leverage provided by accountability. Emotional energy can be amplified by the presence of trusted observers, mentors, or peers. Commitment becomes a lived feeling rather than an abstract promise. Emotional momentum compounds. One productive action generates a positive feeling, which motivates the next action. This chain reaction is far more powerful than attempting to act without emotional alignment. People often rely on external discipline when internal emotional energy could produce greater and more consistent results. By focusing on feelings that push you toward action, each small success reinforces the next. Momentum is self-sustaining when emotion and behavior are aligned. Reflection strengthens emotional focus. Take time to review moments when feelings led to action and when they did not. Notice which emotions were productive, which were distracting, and what conditions amplified the energy. Reflection reinforces self-awareness, making emotional guidance more reliable in the future. Without reflection, feelings are random and inconsistent. With reflection, emotional signals become intentional tools for progress, guiding decisions and sustaining energy toward meaningful outcomes. Visualization complements emotional focus. Imagine the completion of a task, achievement of a goal, or overcoming of a challenge. The feelings associated with these visualizations, confidence, excitement, satisfaction, translate into real motivation for action. Visualization produces emotional rehearsal, preparing the mind and body to respond decisively. Many people fail to act because they cannot emotionally experience the outcome. By generating feelings of progress in advance, the mind is naturally propelled toward execution. Emotional rehearsal turns intention into behavior. Consistency in emotional focus is crucial. Life is full of distractions, setbacks, and competing demands. Without deliberate attention to feelings, energy is easily dissipated. By consistently observing, cultivating, and aligning feelings that push toward action, momentum is maintained. People who master emotional focus experience steady growth, clarity of purpose, and sustainable energy. Emotional alignment reduces internal resistance and ensures that behavior flows naturally toward results. Finally, integrate emotional focus into daily life. Begin each day by noticing feelings that inspire action and intentionally cultivating them. Conclude the day by reflecting on emotional energy used effectively and wasted. Gradually, awareness, cultivation, and alignment become second nature. The ability to harness feelings for action is a skill, and like all skills, it improves with consistent practice. Life flows when emotional energy is directed toward goals and aligned with behavior, creating effortless progress and fulfillment. Focus on feelings that push you toward action. This principle is simple but transformative. Every productive emotion you cultivate acts as fuel for movement, decision-making, and achievement. By observing, nurturing, and aligning emotional energy with meaningful goals, you activate consistent momentum, reduce hesitation, and enhance performance. Life responds positively when emotional signals are leveraged to guide behavior, creating a powerful and sustainable flow towards success and satisfaction. The feelings that drive action are always available. The question is whether you notice them and allow them to guide your life consistently and intentionally.
Chapter 8. Reward yourself for small wins to build momentum. Progress in life is not always measured by giant leaps. Most people believe that success comes only from monumental achievements, but the truth is that consistent small wins build momentum that eventually produces extraordinary results. Every step forward, every task completed, and every goal partially achieved is an opportunity to recognize progress. Celebrating small wins is not about vanity or ego. It is about reinforcing positive behavior, maintaining motivation, and creating energy for continued action. Life flows in your favor when you consciously acknowledge and reward the incremental steps that lead to larger outcomes. The first step is awareness. Pay attention to the actions you take each day, no matter how minor they may seem. Completing a project, making a difficult phone call, exercising, or even resisting a distraction are all small victories. Many people overlook these moments because they focus only on the end goal. Ignoring small wins, however, diminishes energy and slows momentum. Recognition is essential. By noticing progress, you validate effort and provide emotional reinforcement that encourages continued action. Momentum is built through consistent acknowledgement of steps taken, not just final outcomes. Rewarding small wins strengthens habits. Human behavior is shaped by reinforcement. When an action produces a positive outcome, the brain associates the behavior with satisfaction, increasing the likelihood of repetition. By deliberately rewarding small victories, you create an internal system that encourages consistent performance. These rewards do not need to be extravagant. They can be as simple as a moment of reflection, a small treat, or a brief celebration of accomplishment. The key is intentional acknowledgement that ties action to positive emotional experience, creating a cycle that fuels momentum. The psychological impact of recognition is profound. Each time you reward progress, you increase motivation and energy for subsequent action. Small wins reduce feelings of overwhelm that often accompany large projects. Instead of feeling paralyzed by the distance to the ultimate goal, you experience frequent boosts of confidence and satisfaction. These emotional lifts reinforce commitment and make sustained effort more enjoyable. Momentum is rarely the result of single monumental action. It emerges from a series of small reinforced steps that accumulate into substantial progress over time. Rewarding small wins also strengthens resilience. Life is unpredictable, and challenges will inevitably arise. Celebrating progress, even when circumstances are imperfect, reinforces self-efficacy, the belief that effort produces results. People who acknowledge their wins are more likely to persist through setbacks because they have a reservoir of confidence built from repeated, validated success. Momentum is maintained when resilience is consistently reinforced through recognition. The habit of rewarding small achievements creates a mindset that sees progress in every effort, not just in outcomes. Clarity enhances the practice of rewarding small wins. Identify specific benchmarks, actions, or milestones that signify progress. By defining what constitutes a small victory, you eliminate ambiguity and make acknowledgement systematic rather than accidental. This clarity transforms ordinary actions into measurable achievement. People often overlook what counts as progress because standards are undefined. By naming and rewarding even minor accomplishments, you cultivate a continuous feedback loop that sustains motivation and momentum consistently over time. The timing of rewards is critical. Immediate acknowledgement of progress maximizes reinforcement. Waiting too long diminishes the emotional impact and reduces the likelihood of repeated effort. Small, timely rewards create a direct connection between action and satisfaction. Momentum thrives when each step produces a tangible sense of achievement that motivates the next step. People who consistently practice timely recognition Notice sustained energy, heightened engagement, and accelerated progress toward larger goals. Rewards do not always need to be material. Emotional, social, and experiential rewards can be highly effective. Expressing gratitude to yourself, sharing accomplishments with a supportive peer, or taking a brief pause to appreciate effort, all reinforce positive behavior. Recognition, acknowledgement, and reflection are as valuable as external treats. People who integrate these forms of rewards into daily life experience enhanced motivation, improved focus, and increased enjoyment of the process. Momentum is driven by emotional reinforcement as much as tangible reward. Small wins also create psychological momentum that extends beyond individual tasks. Each victory reinforces belief in capability and progress. Confidence grows cumulatively, making subsequent actions feel more achievable. Many people underestimate how momentum works. Energy, motivation, and commitment are not fixed. They are cultivated. Celebrating small wins produces a chain reaction. Action leads to acknowledgement. Acknowledgement fuels energy. Energy enables further action, and the cycle repeats. Over time, the compounding effect of small wins produces substantial, lasting results that exceed expectations. Reflection amplifies the power of small wins. Taking time to consider what went well, what was learned, and how effort contributed to progress reinforces the significance of action. Reflection transforms ordinary steps into meaningful achievements. People who habitually integrate reflection with reward notice increased awareness of strengths, habits, and areas for improvement. Momentum is reinforced not only by action, but by understanding and appreciating the impact of action. Conscious recognition strengthens the brain's association between effort and positive outcomes, creating sustainable motivation. Rewarding small wins encourages risk-taking and experimentation. When effort is acknowledged, fear of failure diminishes. People become more willing to take steps that challenge comfort zones, because every action, regardless of outcome, is validated through recognition. This approach shifts focus from perfection to progress. Momentum is fueled by repeated engagement, not flawless performance. Rewarding progress ensures that individuals continue moving forward even when uncertainty or challenge arises, creating a culture of consistent growth. Balance is essential. Rewards should complement effort, not replace it. Overindulgence or inappropriate rewards can reduce focus or create dependency. The purpose of acknowledgement is to reinforce behavior, provide emotional lift, and maintain energy for continued action. Small, thoughtful rewards strengthen internal motivation without distracting from objective. People who master this balance notice increased consistency, improved resilience, and enhanced capacity to sustain long-term goals. Momentum is maintained when recognition reinforces rather than distracts from purposeful effort. Habit formation is accelerated through small wins. Repeatedly acknowledging and rewarding progress embeds behaviors into daily routines. The brain begins to associate productive actions with positive emotional outcomes automatically. Habits that once required effort gradually become effortless because momentum is continually reinforced. People who implement systematic rewards for incremental achievements build routines that are self-sustaining. Momentum becomes a natural consequence of consistent recognition rather than a product of external pressure or temporary willpower. Social reinforcement amplifies reward. Sharing accomplishments with supportive peers, mentors, or communities creates additional energy and motivation. Recognition from others enhances the emotional impact of small wins and encourages ongoing effort. Positive social feedback strengthens commitment and fosters accountability. Momentum is magnified when acknowledgement extends beyond the individual and is supported by a network that values progress and celebrates achievement consistently. Visualization enhances the practice of rewarding small wins. By mentally acknowledging accomplishments and imagining their positive impact, you reinforce motivation and emotional engagement.
Visualization strengthens connection between action and reward, ensuring that each step is felt and remembered. People who practice visualization notice increased enthusiasm, clarity, and determination to maintain momentum. Emotional reinforcement through visualization complements physical or social acknowledgement, creating a multi-layered approach that sustains consistent forward movement. Adaptation is essential. Life circumstances, challenges, and goals evolve. The system of acknowledging small wins should evolve as well. Regularly review which actions, milestones, and rewards are effective, and adjust to maintain impact. People who continually refine their recognition strategies maintain energy, focus, and motivation, even when conditions change. Momentum is preserved when acknowledgement practices remain relevant, meaningful, and aligned with current priority. Finally, integrate reward for small wins into a daily framework. Begin each day with awareness of potential achievements, and conclude each day by celebrating even minor progress. Over time, this practice creates a positive feedback loop that sustains energy, confidence, and commitment. People who consistently honor small wins experience accelerated progress, greater satisfaction, and a stronger sense of capability. Life flows naturally when effort is consistently recognized, momentum compounds, and every step toward a goal is amplified through acknowledgement. Reward yourself for small wins to build momentum. This principle is simple but transformative. Every incremental step completed, every challenge overcome, and every task executed is an opportunity to reinforce action, motivation, and progress. By observing effort, acknowledging achievement, and providing consistent rewards, you create a system that accelerates momentum, strengthens habits, and sustains energy. Life flows in your favor when small wins are recognized, momentum compounds, and consistent acknowledgement turns ordinary effort into extraordinary results.
Chapter 9. Catch yourself procrastinating and act before excuses grow. Procrastination is one of the greatest obstacles to progress. It is subtle, often disguised as rational thinking, planning, or even rest. Most people underestimate the cumulative impact of delayed action. Each moment of hesitation allows excuses to grow, energy to dissipate, and momentum to stall. The key is not simply to stop procrastinating once in a while, but to catch yourself immediately when the urge arises and act decisively before delay becomes habit. Action is always available. Excuses are optional. Life flows in favor of those who recognize hesitation early and respond promptly. The first step is awareness. Notice the subtle signs of procrastination. The mind may start to wander, distractions may seem more appealing, or tasks may feel heavier than they are. Physical signals also appear: restlessness, avoidance, or unnecessary busy work that does not contribute to priority objectives. Awareness is critical because procrastination often begins quietly. If you wait until a task becomes overwhelming, the energy required to act increases and excuses strengthen. Early recognition transforms hesitation from a barrier into an opportunity for immediate action. Understand why procrastination arises. Often delay is a response to fear, uncertainty, or lack of clarity. People postpone action because they anticipate difficulty, judgment, or discomfort. Others wait for motivation to appear as if it were an external force. Motivation is not something that comes, it is something that grows from initial action. Acting quickly neutralizes fear and prevents the mind from generating elaborate reasons to avoid progress. Excuses flourish in a vacuum. The moment you begin, resistance weakens and confidence begins to grow. Small, immediate steps are powerful. Procrastination is reduced not by waiting for perfect conditions, but by starting. Even a minor action, opening a document, making a call, or outlining a plan, breaks the cycle of delay. The mind and body respond to movement. Momentum is created through action, not contemplation. Most people fail because they overthink or wait for ideal circumstances. The simple act of beginning, no matter how small, interrupts excuses before they take root. Repeatedly practicing this builds a habit of prompt action. Prioritize tasks strategically. Focus on high-impact actions first, rather than diffusing energy across low-value activities. Procrastination often hides behind busyness. People mistakenly believe that staying occupied equals productivity. In reality, delaying meaningful work while tending to minor tasks reduces results and builds frustration. Identifying priority actions and acting on them immediately prevents excuses from gaining power. Momentum grows when energy is applied to meaningful objectives rather than being scattered across trivial distractions. Time is a critical factor. The longer a task is delayed, the more formidable it appears. Procrastination grows exponentially because the mind imagines obstacles, complications, or inadequacies. Acting early reduces perceived difficulty and builds confidence. People who consistently act promptly notice that once the first step is taken, the remaining process feels manageable. Momentum is not linear. It is accelerated by early initiation. Catching hesitation before it expands prevents the energy of delay from accumulating and overwhelming action. Use self-talk to counter excuses. When you notice the impulse to delay, speak decisively to yourself. I will start now, I can handle this in small steps, or action comes before clarity. Words shape belief and behavior. Procrastination often begins with phrases like, I'll do it later, or I need more time. Replacing these with direct commands or affirmations interrupts the cycle of delay. Emotional and cognitive reinforcement through self-talk strengthens immediate action and weakens the brain's tendency to generate rationalizations. Create environmental triggers for prompt action. Surroundings can encourage or discourage procrastination. Arrange workspaces, schedules, and tools to make starting tasks effortless. Remove distractions and signal to yourself that the next step is simple and available. People often wait because the setup for action feels cumbersome or overwhelming. Simplifying the first move reduces mental resistance. The environment becomes a silent partner in promoting immediate action rather than enabling delay. Momentum grows when conditions favor starting over hesitation. Accountability enhances immediate action. Share intentions with a mentor, colleague, or peer. Knowing that someone else is aware of your commitment adds emotional pressure to act and reduces the likelihood of excuses. Accountability transforms delayed tasks into immediate priorities. Most procrastination thrives in isolation. By integrating external observers or deadlines, you create systems that amplify action and limit the space for rationalization. Momentum is strengthened when social reinforcement complements personal responsibility. Reflection on previous procrastination provides insight. Examine when, why, and how delay occurs. Notice recurring patterns, certain tasks, times of day, or mental states that trigger avoidance. Understanding patterns allows preparation and preemption. Many people repeat procrastination without recognizing triggers, reinforcing a cycle of delay. By reflecting and learning, you develop strategies to catch hesitation early. Self-awareness is the first line of defense against excuses growing into habits. Immediate reward reinforces prompt action. Each time you act before delay, acknowledge and appreciate the behavior. Even a small acknowledgement, mental recognition, brief celebration, or a note of progress strengthens neural pathways associated with decisive action. Rewarding early engagement conditions the brain to associate prompt action with positive outcomes. Momentum compounds when each small step taken against procrastination produces reinforcement and emotional satisfaction. Fear often disguises itself as procrastination.
People delay because they imagine negative consequences or anticipate difficulty. Confronting this fear immediately is essential. By observing fear without yielding to it and taking decisive steps, hesitation is neutralized. Fear is a signal, not a barrier. Acting in spite of fear transforms it into a catalyst for progress, rather than a justification for delay. Momentum is fueled by courage in the moment, preventing excuses from escalating into chronic avoidance. Visualization prepares the mind to act. Picture the task being completed successfully, and the positive outcomes that follow. This mental rehearsal generates feelings of confidence, energy, and readiness. People often procrastinate because the mind fixates on potential problems instead of envisioning success. Visualization shifts focus from obstacles to opportunity. Acting immediately after visualization becomes easier because emotional and cognitive energy are aligned with productive behavior rather than delay. Break large tasks into smaller components. Procrastination often grows because the full task appears daunting. By dividing it into manageable steps, starting becomes less intimidating. Each completed step produces momentum, reinforcing continued action. People who consistently break work into actionable units experience less delay and increased efficiency. Excuses diminish when effort is segmented, and the first step is clear, achievable, and within immediate reach. Consistency is crucial. Catching procrastination once is beneficial, but habit is formed through repetition. Each time you notice hesitation and act promptly, you strengthen the pattern of immediate response. Repetition rewires behavior, making decisive action a natural reflex rather than an exceptional effort. Momentum builds exponentially when instant action becomes habitual, reducing the energy consumed by excuses and hesitation over time. Anticipate obstacles and act before they become excuses. Most delay arises because potential challenges are imagined and magnified. By acknowledging difficulties proactively and taking initial steps, you neutralize imagined barriers. People who plan and start early find that most obstacles are manageable in real time. Excuses thrive in anticipation, but momentum is built when action precedes worry. The simple act of starting reduces the power of delay and empowers continued effort. Emotional energy drives action. Pay attention to feelings like anxiety, restlessness, or uncertainty, which often precede procrastination. Transform these signals into prompts for immediate engagement rather than avoidance. The discomfort of hesitation is a reliable signal to act. People who respond to emotional cues with decisive steps prevent delay from snowballing into habitual procrastination. Momentum is created when emotions are harnessed as signals for productive action. Finally, integrate these practices into daily life. Each task presents an opportunity to catch hesitation early and act. Over time, this builds a pattern of decisiveness, clarity, and productivity. Procrastination diminishes as the mind, body, and environment are aligned to favor immediate engagement. Momentum compounds when each small act against delay reinforces the habit of prompt action. Life flows in your favor when hesitation is recognized instantly. Excuses are neutralized, and action becomes the default response to opportunity. Catch yourself procrastinating and act before excuses grow. This principle is simple yet transformative. Each moment of immediate engagement prevents delay from accumulating, strengthens confidence, and maintains momentum. By observing hesitation, acting decisively, and reinforcing progress, you reduce friction, build consistency, and align behavior with goals. Life favors those who do not allow hesitation to dictate action, but instead respond promptly to every opportunity. Momentum, energy, and results compound when action consistently precedes excuse, producing a life that flows powerfully in your favor.
Chapter 10. Shift your attention to what grows your confidence daily. Confidence is not a fixed trait. It is built moment by moment, decision by decision, and action by action. Most people think confidence appears suddenly when success arrives, but in reality it grows from the habits, thoughts, and focus cultivated daily. Where attention goes, energy flows, and the mind naturally reinforces what it notices most. If you focus on doubts, failures, or limitations, confidence diminishes. If you shift attention toward progress, capability, and mastery, confidence expands steadily and consistently. Life flows in favor of those who intentionally nurture belief in themselves through focused daily practice. The first step is awareness. Notice where your attention is currently directed. Many people spend hours replaying mistakes, worrying about judgment, or comparing themselves to others. These patterns erode self-belief and drain energy. Awareness is critical because you cannot redirect attention if you are unaware of its current trajectory. Begin to observe moments when self-doubt arises or confidence wanes. Recognizing these moments allows you to intervene deliberately, choosing instead to focus on what strengthens belief in your abilities. Attention is the gateway to growth. Where it is placed determines the strength of your confidence. Daily reflection reinforces confidence. Take time each morning or evening to review what you accomplished, even in small ways. Acknowledge tasks completed, progress made, and challenges overcome. Most people undervalue incremental wins, yet these small successes accumulate into tangible evidence of capability. By directing attention to achievements, you train your mind to see competence, effort, and improvement. Confidence grows not through abstract thinking, but by consistently noticing the evidence that you can handle challenges and produce results. Actively cultivate skills and knowledge. Confidence is built on competence. When attention is focused on learning, mastering tasks, and developing capability, belief in your own ability increases naturally. Many people neglect skill development, assuming confidence will appear magically. In reality, consistent practice, study, and improvement provide the foundation for unshakable self-assurance. Every skill learned and every challenge met reinforces the internal narrative that you are capable, competent, and able to succeed in future endeavors. Shift focus from outcomes to effort. Confidence grows not from perfection, but from consistent, intentional action. When attention is placed on giving your best effort, completing tasks, and showing up fully, confidence is reinforced daily. People often tie belief in themselves to results, which fluctuate and are not entirely within control. By directing attention to effort, persistence, and dedication, you maintain steady growth in self-belief, independent of external circumstance. Confidence is nurtured by the process, not solely by the product. Surround yourself with positivity. People, content, and environments shape attention. Regularly engage with individuals who lift, encourage, and challenge you. Consume media that inspires, educates, or motivates, rather than drains energy or inwars doubt. Remove exposure to negativity, toxic criticism, or constant comparison. Your attention is a finite resource. By directing it toward sources that cultivate confidence, you build an internal environment that reinforces belief in yourself consistently. Life flows more easily when external input supports inner strength rather than diminishes it. Set intentional daily challenges. Confidence grows through action, especially when that action stretches your current ability. Focus attention on tasks that require effort, courage, or creativity. Each challenge met reinforces self-efficacy, the understanding that you can face difficulty and succeed. Avoiding challenges allows doubt to grow. By consciously choosing actions that stretch capability, attention is placed on evidence of competence rather than fear or limitation. Momentum in confidence emerges when action consistently affirms capability. Monitor self-talk. Internal dialogue directs attention and shapes belief. Many people unknowingly repeat phrases that diminish confidence, such as "I can't do this" or "I'm not good enough." Shifting attention to empowering self-talk reinforces a positive internal narrative. Replace critical thoughts with statements like "I am capable," "I am improving," or "I can handle this." The mind responds to repeated messaging, and consistent focus on empowering language strengthens confidence over time. Attention to self-talk is a powerful lever for shaping perception of self-ability. Celebrate progress intentionally. Each small improvement, task completed, or obstacle overcome deserves recognition. Rewarding yourself for effort reinforces the attention placed on achievement rather than shortcomings. Most people only acknowledge major victories, yet consistent attention to incremental growth builds confidence faster and more reliably. Recognition conditions the mind to see capability and progress as the default, making belief in self a natural response to repeated acknowledgement of accomplishment. Maintain physical and mental alignment. Confidence is influenced by posture, voice, and energy. Direct attention to body language, physical presence, and daily habits that reinforce competence. Stand tall, speak clearly, and maintain energy through rest, nutrition, and movement. The mind and body are intertwined. Attention to physical cues supports emotional and psychological strength. When posture, tone, and movement reinforce capability, confidence grows automatically. Attention to these daily signals produces a feedback loop that strengthens self-belief over time. Learn from failures without dwelling on them. Confidence is built through resilience, not perfection. Shift attention from blame, regret, or fear to the lessons and insights gained. Analyzing failures with constructive focus turns setbacks into evidence of growth and capability. People who dwell on mistakes often see diminished belief in themselves. By consistently directing attention to learning, adaptation, and improvement, confidence strengthens with each challenge faced. Momentum in self-belief is produced through deliberate focus on opportunity rather than limitation. Visualization enhances confidence daily. Direct attention to imagining success, mastery, and effective performance. Picture yourself completing tasks skillfully, handling challenges competently, and achieving objectives with clarity. The brain responds to vividly imagined action as though it were real, reinforcing the emotional and cognitive patterns of capability. People who practice visualization consistently notice increased preparedness, composure, and self-assurance in real-world situations. Focused attention on these imagined successes strengthens confidence even before action occurs. Set boundaries to protect focus. Confidence grows when energy and attention are not depleted by distractions, negativity, or unnecessary demand. Prioritize time, space, and relationships that support growth. Saying no to activities, influences, or habits that drain energy directs attention to productive and reinforcing elements of life. Many people allow external factors to erode belief in themselves. By protecting attention, confidence is nurtured daily, creating space for deliberate focus on growth, achievement, and capability. Engage in reflective journaling. Capture daily wins, challenges overcome, and lessons learned. Writing directs attention to evidence of competence and progress, providing tangible reinforcement of self-belief.
Journaling creates a record of improvement that can be reviewed to remind yourself of capability, resilience, and achievement. Momentum in confidence builds when attention is consistently applied to recording, reflecting, and reinforcing growth. Daily focus on progress strengthens perception of self and ability to handle future challenges effectively. Practice affirmations and intentional mindset exercises, repeatedly directing attention towards strength, achievements, and personal standards reinforces belief in self. Most people allow attention to wander toward limitations, fears, or external judgment. By intentionally focusing on empowering thoughts and statements, confidence grows daily. Momentum is built when mental focus is consistently aligned with capability rather than doubt. Confidence is strengthened when attention is trained to highlight skill, effort, and progress. Teach and share knowledge. Confidence increases when attention is directed toward helping, guiding, or mentoring others. Explaining concepts, demonstrating skills, and supporting growth in others reinforces belief in your own capability. People often underestimate the psychological boost of contribution. Attention directed towards demonstrating competence externally reinforces internal confidence, creating reciprocal growth. Momentum emerges when daily action includes not only self-improvement, but also empowering others through knowledge and skill sharing. Integrate feedback positively. Seek input on performance and areas for improvement, but focus attention on actionable, constructive elements rather than criticism. Confidence grows when attention is placed on solutions, adaptation, and personal capability, rather than judgment or blame. People who habitually react defensively or fixate on negative commentary diminish self-belief. By consistently focusing on what can be learned and applied, confidence is strengthened and aligned with growth-oriented behavior. Attention to constructive feedback amplifies ability while sustaining belief in self. Finally, make it a daily practice. Confidence does not emerge randomly. It is nurtured by consistent focus on capability, progress, and reinforcing experiences. Each day presents opportunities to observe growth, act intentionally, acknowledge achievement, and cultivate empowering feelings. Life flows in your favor when attention is consistently directed to actions, thoughts, and habits that reinforce self-belief. Momentum in confidence compounds over time when deliberate focus replaces distraction, doubt, or fear. The result is a resilient, capable, and empowered mindset prepared for consistent achievement. Shift your attention to what grows your confidence daily. This principle is simple yet profoundly transformative. Every deliberate focus on skill development, achievement, reflection, and self-reinforcement strengthens belief in your ability to handle challenges, pursue goals, and create results. By consciously observing progress, nurturing strength, and protecting mental energy, you cultivate daily confidence that compounds into lasting capability. Life responds positively when attention is directed to what builds belief in yourself rather than to doubts, distractions, or fear. Momentum, clarity, and personal power emerge naturally when attention consistently reinforces confidence and capability.